So this is officially our class. Everything that you need to know, your theoretical side is over. Now it's more about project writing. We have all the knowledge, all the information that we need to write your projects. So focus on that this week. That's in fact your homework. So what I want to say that office hour, there is no office hour because I'll be there on Wednesday. But I'm saying that can meet anytime. Let me know time you want to meet as a group or as individual for any questions. Quiz 4, which is optional, assuming all of you taken the 4-3 quiz. The reason I say optional is where you can actually elevate your quiz score. Quiz 4 will be the rest of the 3 quiz will be counted. That will be on Thursday this week. I will leave it. It's on formable payments, green roof, as well as wetland. These are the three slides that you need to read to answer the quiz. The project, there are 2 projects. One is for online, and then there is also for the students who register for this class. MS online, for them, they have to individual project. Each person is writing their own projects, but the project is fixed. I give them a specific outline, a specific instruction they have to do so that they learn it. So that's applied for them. So I'm going to work with them independently. So I'll not discuss now. I'll release another video for them for instructions. But for all of you, in the class register for 159 and 259, you have to do a specific portion as a team. Okay, so that means you also have to present. For them, they don't have to present. Just the progress report is the final for them. For you, teamwork, you got to interact with your teammates and revise it, work together like a team project, like how you do in the real world. So that's why I ask you to assign yourself the specific section based on your group, and then you write that portion. That's due on Monday, so that means we can entirely work on it by next class. On next Tuesday, the entire project should be written and given to me so that I can read and give some feedback, and then you revise it and submit. Okay. And for draft, I don't take any points because you wrote the draft now. So this is just basically to force you to write whatever you can think without being perfectionist. But obviously, you have to spend time because you're writing only a small section of it. A whole week is not a lot of time. I mean, it's a lot of time. You can spend 3 to 4 hours. You can write your sections, and then you discuss with your teammates. Read the entire project so that you know what you wrote. Is actually contributing to the project, not like whatever you need to write. That's the fix to the entire narrative. Unless you read the other section, it's very difficult sometimes to know whether what you consider has any meaning. That's why I read our sections and also do feedback to that. If you feel like you can improve something. Presentations, you should pre-record if you can, because not many students are here. But if you feel like your team member will be here to present, that's also fine. But considering how many students are joining, if you feel like your team members are not familiar to come here, maybe you pre-record using Zoom for 10 minutes and you can play in the class. Not more than 10 minutes. If it is 13 minutes, I'll play only 10 minutes after 10 minutes. You tell me which section to stop. Either first 3 minutes, I'll skip it, or the last. So that means you have to when you pre-record, you got to go back and re-record for 10 minutes. Yes, 30 seconds here and there is fine, but not. So we have a lot of projects. I don't want some project not to be like there. So your challenge is to make everything within 10 minutes. Okay, project writing. So I thought, based on my experience, I'll give you some tips what I thought you should do. Send me the draft. Look at this list as a checklist. You have a title. A lot of times you send a draft without even your title. The title tell me what's the reason, what's the overall narrative. A lot of time you forget that. So don't forget title. think of like a report, how you are going to submit in your company. This is also same thing. So try to make it as professional you can. You should have list of all team members' name so that I know who was there. You have to have an abstract. Like summary of what you have done so that when somebody read that abstract, I get a whole idea of what is this project about. 90% of the time, that's the most important thing because people read that, they decide whether they will further or not. So that's why you have to write abstract in a very specific way. That tells a story, that tells the overall story of the report. Write all section. Don't send something without writing a section. Obviously, if when you send the draft, if one of your team members didn't write their part, it's not your responsibility. They lose that points for their homework. But then we can decide how we can write that section through rest of the people, and that person will not get the credit. So you don't have to go and push your own friends if they don't write it. It's not your responsibility. But you should tell them, hey, we are waiting for you because a team. But I don't want you to be stressed because somebody else is not doing the job. Do your part, make sure that that's why it's a draft, not a complete version yet. I evaluate the whole final version at the end, but I try to mitigate that issues before that, so that whole team members who are working, they're not get penalized for some members who do not do the work. It happens. Sometimes it happens. Not, I would not say it's frequent, but every year certainly one team students who may not even do anything for whatever reason. Then I'll have to know the students if there is any real issues or difficulty because life, things can happen. So I just want to make sure that I help you beforehand. Is it within the page limit? Don't send me something 20 pages, 30 pages, and make me decide what to remove because you have to make that decision. What is important, what is not. When you send a report to somewhere, what's the limit? Let's say NSF, National Science Foundation, LA County, they have specific page limit. You cannot decide to send something else. If you send that, they immediately reject it. So that's the real world situations. So that means you have to make that decision. Don't remove everything, and you can remove them, move them to appendix. That way you actively select what's important. And I can also check the appendix, but at least I'll see there are some important part in appendix, I'll move them back. And maybe I'll say that maybe move this part later. Just because let's say you wrote a lot of sections and then your part is moved doesn't mean that you lose credits. I just want you to give that effort. But at the end, it's a team project. So the story, the central narrative is important. So we'll make that decision after draft if you're still not sure which section need to be removed or improved. But you have to have within page limit, and then everything else goes to appendix. Number 6 is something very important, but I see that many students didn't do in their introductions, is citing a reference. For instance, if you say that stormwater is increasingly becoming a resource for many urban areas to compensate for their lack of water or work scarcity, there are many references. There are many articles that suggested that. There are studies. So that's a statement you are making, and what you are saying is, if you don't cite any reference, you are saying this is a statement, it's a fact, you should trust me. In scientific, there are very few things in scientific is completely fact. For instance, Newton's law. Gravity always pulls things downward. It's a fact. We don't need to cite Newton's paper 400 years ago. But there are many things, more chance in environmental engineering. Any statements you make, it need to be supported. And how do you find that? Important to know that you can search research articles and cite them. Very easy to do it. Just look for the 2 keywords that describe the entire sentence. Put in Google Scholar or Web of Science or Web of Knowledge, and you'll find many references. Read their abstract. Within 2 or 3 or within first 10, you find your reference. Cite one of them. At least I know that way you made that active effort. And you look for references, other studies that support your statement. Then it's your statement, right? So that has to be proof. Then abstract, abstract takes the longest time. What I want you guys to do is revise the abstract every time you finish your draft. Keep taking this to the sentence, whether it's telling a story. I gave you some key component of abstract. Let's say your green roof. You got to write some broad issue related to green roof. Why didn't you did this project? What specific objective your project has? And then what's the different things you did in this project? And let's write the overview of the methods that these are things we tried, or we reviewed these articles, or we reviewed, or we calculate this, and we selected the sites and tried to design a green roof for this focus. So write that so that at least somebody will read it, they know the specific objective. And then there are key results. There are many results you got. Calculate certain values, or if you don't calculate, you found some information that you want your teammates to know, or to read that to know. So write those key results, 2 or 3 key results. Then any implications. Let's say your objective was to design a green roof so that you can reduce the flooding, or reduce the water bill in that building. You write that now. Did you achieve that? So write that now using our calculation. We saw that that means implementing green roof in many locations can reduce the water consumptions in the city. Something like a broad connecting to the broad issues. Again, it should tell a story. It should not be just a random sentence. And this is something collectively you guys have to do. Because every section has to be written before you write the abstract. You can't write the abstract before you know the results. So this should be written at the end when you finish all your sections. So introduction, as I said, I read them. I didn't give specific feedback, but I was just looking for whether you have a story, whether the story connect with your overall projects or not. Sometimes it feels disconnected. You get a chance to give you comments, but don't worry about introduction. Just keep writing the other sections. And again, cite references. That's something I see consistently missing from most of your introductions. How to find references? So I'm going to let's say I'm going to show a live demonstration on how to do it. So let's say I'm going to go to the website. We'll do that one. So let's say stop sharing. So there is a question: is the draft due on Monday or the assignment for each person? When everybody submit their assignment, that's become a draft. So you have to write, because you already sent me the introductions. So you just write the other sections. And then collectively on Monday you should write abstract and conclusion based on everything written, and then send it to me. Because if you don't send me something, I can't give you comments on that one. That means in the final format you will not have my comments for that sections. We got to complete it to receive a comments for those sections. We can submit an incomplete draft, but that means I'll only give comments to the sections that you send me. I'll now wait for the other sections for you to complete. It's your choice to send me the final draft whenever you can. With that, will not have the other section. So yes, give the whole draft. And if everybody works every one day, your entire paper is done. Okay, your section is because everybody writes small sections. Okay, I'm going to stop share and I'm going to show you a screen. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to this is how stormwater issues. Okay, so just to see a web page. My intention is not to go to a website. Let's say this is a report. Somebody got it. Okay. I want to show you like how, because a lot of times what happens is you read this kind of website. Okay, you're not seeing this here. I have to check why I don't see. Okay, now you can see. Right. So a lot of times I realize many of you, it could be wrong because I didn't see how you write it. You take your information by reading all these websites and then you write your step paragraph. Then what you do is you copy the, normally I see that trend, no? Not true for everybody, but some at least. So you write and paraphrase it. And you see many websites that are written as a statement for everything, then don't need to cite anything. Just writing a story. They're like they don't cite references. But if you go to, I'm just going to go the exact same thing. Google Scholar. So the exact same keyword. Now, this is a report, so this is more like a how you should be writing. But I'm going to a research articles. Still could not find a research articles. Okay. The research articles, right? So as you see the key differences here, look at the first paragraph. You have all the statement, but each statement is at least supported by references. I want you guys to write this. Okay. It's not what you instead write is like a blog. So what you write, for instance, in this case, if you see, as the stormwater flows across the streets, sidewalks, lawns, and golf courses, it can pick up harmful pollutants and shift them into storm drainage, rivers, and streams. So the statement here is that as stormwater moves through all these areas, it pollutes all the waterways. So your keyword is stormwater, pollutions, and waterways or rivers. If you search those three keywords, you'll find that many studies has actually measured that. They show the evidence that yes, it is happening. So you can cite those papers. So you will be adding those citations here. Whereas a lot of times you don't cite. That was the issue all the consistently I found that you have not done it. So please do that one. I'll give you feedback anyway. So that way you have a way to do this. For instance, number of environmental problems. Stormwater runoff can cause many environmental problems. For each sections, there has to be citations. Here actually there is, you don't realize it because there are some, let's say stormwater runoff can push excess nutrients from fertilizer. There's a leak there. If you click there, it goes to one website with the nutrients. What is nutrients? All that stuff. So it's more like giving a story. It doesn't confirm that statement. You just tell a story about nutrients. What if somebody doesn't know what is nutrients means? But in your case, it's not the case. You're not going to explain nutrients means. You're going to cite any studies that shows that stormwater actually make nutrients as pollutants or pollute rivers with nutrients. If you search stormwater nutrients, you'll get many references. So let's do that one. I'm going to go back again. For instance, let's say I'm going to cite something here. Okay. I will look for some references here. So if you see what says fast moving stormwater runoff can erode stream bed. So erosion is the main action verb. So your goal is stormwater and erosion. So these two keywords. So I'm going to go there. And I'll go to Google Scholar. And search stormwater and erosions. As you can see, the very first one you find articles. Stormwater erosion potential, stormwater management strategy. Stormwater control measure design standard limit stream erosion in North Carolina. So you see many statements are there. So you can cite any of them. For instance, let's go to the first one. When you read the abstract, it says that it's all about management, and they say that how the infrastructures actually reduce the erosion. So you have at least articles where just by reading abstract, you know whether it supports your statements or not. And cite that. And when you cite, you can cite very specific way. So you write author and year, but there is a small location here. It's called cite. If you click that one, it gives you a list of different way you can cite it. Okay. So you can copy. Let's say you use Harvard format or Chicago or APA format, whichever you have to use the one specific one, not different kind. Then you copy this one. Let's say you cite there as the first author's last name and years and all that formats, and then you put the entire copy the entire things. Okay. So put in the bibliography at the end, or the reference at the end. Then at the end, everybody's finished their own things, and then you arrange everything alphabetical order. Okay, so that's the way to use the author and year format. So that makes it easier for you to arrange at the end. If you use number format, number changes based on who cite where. So use this format. So make sure to do this one when you write any sections. Really clear. It's very easy to do the same thing. For instance, here, if you go web of, if you go to web of knowledge, and again, because I'm in UCLA, we have access to this one in UCLA campus. If you are outside UCLA campus, not the network, you will not have access to it. You have to use library VPN to get the access. This is much more specific than Google Scholar. You can find very specific references. For instance, I'm going to write stormwater, and many of you want to know that you want to use green roof to reduce the energy. Okay, so then you write green roof, and then add green roof stormwater energy. If I put this one, usually you don't need to have stormwater there because green roof, it's energy and green roof. It doesn't have to have stormwater. That itself is more than one. So I'm just going to search it. It gives you 2,000 articles, 2,000 references. You don't need everything. You need to know the very few basic things. So here you can see, you can arrange them as the most cited paper, means something people are now excited about. Hot paper, I don't know what that means. Review articles. Review articles is basically somebody will summarize everything for you. So that might be a good article for you to read, just to know what you need to know about the whole project. But here you can do many other things. You can, as you can see, by default, it's by relevance. That means you can use the specific keyword, and as you can see, relevance means green roof and energy both are in that same. Many times it shows in abstract title everywhere. There is another thing a lot of times is useful. If you are a researcher, you can go for any of these things. Like relevance, recently added, or newest first. That means you want to know the most recent things, what's happening in that field. And you can also do by most cited. Citation, highest first. Most citation means the something which is most cited means people actually value that work. So more likely you will find information that's very useful for you. So you can use any of these which you don't have access in Google Scholar. So this is a really key tools that you will be using in your consulting work, or you go to company. When you look for information, which will happen all the time, these are two resources you have. And you should learn how to use it to find information that you need to support your statement. All right, so any question on those? All right, so I'm going to now share their our original screen. Second. Right, so how to find references? Now you know all that. The next thing is site-specific calculations. One of the things that you have to do in many projects, which is relevant, is that if you have a specific site, you need to know the soil type. Because if you know whether the soil has natural infiltration capacity or not, how do you find that out? I don't remember if I show you this one, but I'm going to show you now so that you can do it for specific site. So let's go to this. What you do to do is search USGS soil survey. If you search that keyword, the very first link, you'll get this one. So USGS stands for United States Geological Survey. So they have, what they have done is they have, obviously all the geological formation in US is well documented. So they went to every single locations and they characterize the soil and they know what the soil type is. So you don't have to go and find that out because they have created this database. So I'm going to show you that again, how to do it. So I go back to the website that I saw you. So let's do that. So I go to USGS survey. Let's find out exactly in this building. We are near Bolter Hall. So let's find out what the soil type below Bolter Hall or near the courtyard. If we can have, let's say, we can replace that engineering science courtyard by permeable pavements, and let's hope that the soil will infiltrate. Let's see whether that will happen or not. That depends on the natural infiltration capacity. So USGS, not survey, USGS soil survey. So now you see that's the first link. I'll go there. There is a link here, it's called start. Go there. Look for a new web page. And this is their platform where you can go to that specific locations to find out. So you see, this is the whole US map. We are interested in a very specific spot, so you have to look for that spot. You can zoom in and find out if you know the geographical location where these things are, but you don't have to do that. If you know zip code, you can zoom you there. Or if you know the known locations. So you have all these things here, so you can write the address. If you want to write address of UCLA, let's write a UCLA. Maybe you don't have the, oh, actually it does. So that means you have clearly, at least you know that UCLA campus is there. So now we have to find out where is our building. I don't think this is, let's see. So here you can go zoom out, zoom in. Very slow. This location, Calcium Drive, right? So this is Calcium Drive again.
That's Dickinson.
Bigger Avenue. So okay, well,
That's the flagpole down there.
I have to go this side. For some reason, the mark, but it's not working.
Oh, that's the student center. Yeah, that's the
student center. Oh, it's working. So now as you can see, it was just catching up now with multiple. Okay, so this is UCLA campus, and we are, I think, here, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere here. This is Walter Hall. This one. So this is the soil map you want to check, right? So you go there. I'm going to zoom in there. See the area that you want to. Oh no. This is. So what I did is I click on the zoom and then I start clicking on where I want. So let's say this is the place. Okay, so this is a Bolter Hall. Now you can see, right? So now what you have to do is find out what soil type here, because you want to replace entire locations with permeable pavements. So you can create your, it's called AOI, area of interest. Okay. There are two click here. It's very hard to see. One is a rectangle, another is polygon. Rectangle is where you just have to click on. I'm going to choose polygon because that can apply to any locations. So I click polygon, AOI here. Then I'm going to click all these places where I want to find out soil type. Look for, if you double click, that's end that. Now what it does, it creates this map, right? It's going to look for all the soil types here. So now on the left side, you see here, UI property. Then you on the soil map, it tells you assign a number. It says 1221. Okay? That's their USGS code. On the left side, it says what that means. Okay. On the left side, you see it's called urban land, triple radar complex, 2 to 12% slope. So it says what just the overall view. So if you click on that and says percentage of AOI, means the entire time, what percent of that soil is the things they're doing. So a lot of times you might have seen one group here, another group here. That way you know. So in this case, this is just one type. So you click on this. If you click here, it will tell you everything about it. So here, the very top it says elevations, annual precipitation, so you know how much water it received. It gives everything. Urban land 75%, and soil is 20%. What urban land means? The natural soil is no longer there. 20% is natural soil. 70% is just being, being dumped here because when they make all that. Either way, they give you some idea of what that means. Then second is what you want to know is runoff class. Runoff class very high means every raindrop there is everything become runoff. It's true. Yes, if you see outside, it's all basically cemented, so you will not be expecting any runoff to infiltrate. But if you want to know the soil type, and there is a slope 2 to 12%. You see all of the information there. A lot of other things here. It says another capacity of the most limiting layer to transmit water. This is important. What's the capacity to transmit or infiltrate water? SAT, which is hydraulic conductivity, saturated hydraulic conductivity. It says moderate, high to high, 0.6 to 2 inches per hour. That means the soil itself has very good infiltration capacity. And how do you know what the number is? So this is here. It says hydrologic soil group is B. B means A means very high, B means the next high, and the site is Lomi Fan, whatever numbers. I don't know, whatever things are. This is not needed. Main point is infiltrations. You see here that 2 inches, up to 2 inches per hour, infiltration can happen. So that's a really good site. If somebody want to really create a impervious or the permeable pavements. So we can replace all that, all the water will infiltrate, that is most of the water. Because 2 inch rainfall doesn't happen always. It's never happened 2 inch rainfall in an hour. So that's very low amount of water. So this is how we can go to any sites in US and find the soil group information. This is something you should do as part of your project. If you have a site, you should go there and see the locations, and you can decide, whether there will be infiltration or not. At least you can write the discussions. Okay. Any question on this? Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. We'll go back to like that. Okay, so you learned this one, so now you can apply for your own projects. The next thing I'm not going to show you because this I have shown you before. If you want to know the locations and the average rainfall or 100-year storm event, how do you find that? You go to this website and click on the zip code or the address. It will tell you the rainfall data. For instance, I got the rainfall data for UCLA. And you can go for 85 percentile rainfall, 100-year event. You have to write how you design it. Are you designing for certain amount of rainfall? Is this 100-year events or 90 years or 50 years? You have to write all that. You should go there. At least you have a graph here if you want to put it on your report if needed. It's not important. So that's all in terms of things that you should be doing for your projects. If you have a location, you need to know the soil type, you need to know rainfall type. You can calculate the runoff in that sites, which is CIA, Q equal to CIA. Area is the entire area that you are selecting as a receiving amount of water that is received. C something based on how much percentage impervious surface, you can make an assumption if you need to. Otherwise, you have Corb number method that you did as a part of homework. You can use that the same way to calculate the runoff. All right, so other writing tips. I'm not going to repeat this one. This is more about English than science. But most paragraphs should have a topic sentence. If I read the first sentence, I should have idea what you're writing for the entire paragraph. If you don't have a topic sentence, you just start writing. It's very difficult to understand. So make sure to, when you revise your own writing, think of what's the main topic sentence and where is it. It should be in the very beginning. Write support information, add citations, references like I suggested. First write, don't look for citation immediately, and write your thoughts, and then look for citation based on the keyword. And when you read citation and you find another new citations and you really like it, write a sentence. Just add a sentence to cite that references. That's how you can expand. Take the flow of paragraph. If the idea is being flowing, just a disconnected sentence. Again, every paragraph should have a topic sentence on central topic. If you have multiple different ideas, break into different paragraphs. And then again, revision tips in the writing is all about rewriting. Nobody writes a perfect sentence in the first try. I make a lot of mistakes. As you know, if I send email, there are a lot of typos because I don't check. But if I'm writing any, it's a bad habit. Okay, so you don't do that. But if I'm writing any journal articles or something that I have to send somewhere, I revise many times. So what I send is very, very refined, and I make sure that there is no mistakes. So if I'm writing a report for my supervisor, I'll never send something like emails. Okay? Although I say that's a bad habit, I should not do that. But for report, I expect you to revise your own writing. Okay? Because I write something, you read it, make sense of it, and revise as many times possible. Again, the biggest problem of writing a lot, or writing efficiently, is being perfectionist. If you think you're going to write the very best sentence at the beginning, you get stuck with that one sentence. You never move. So write your thought, whatever comes to your mind, just write it. And then go back and revise it. No critics. I'll write at the same time. And switch off your critic mind that moment. Story matters, so write the story that should connect. All right, so with that, I will say that let's take a break. When we come back, I don't want to repeat this one because this is all kind of self-explanatory, and I gave that last projects if you took last class. I'll just briefly skim through it after break. Then we can get to your projects. If you have a question, I'll just answer that. So let's take a break for 10-15 minutes. But again, before we go, this is a really great book for revising your writing. This is something I really helped me a lot. So if you ever want to improve your writing, it doesn't teach you how to write. You have to have writing something already draft. Okay? It doesn't tell you how to think. It tells you how to revise your writing, which is already written. So it's about revisions. Okay. So once you have a sentence there, you can revise that. That's why I say just write all that aspect. Okay, let's meet at 5 o'clock. 40 minutes later. Okay, introduction, you guys all written, but I just want to say that this is what I'm looking for. You got to have a big pictures, specific problem, more specific part of it, what you are trying to do, and then objective. Well, speech. I'm not convinced to fund your project, then it's pretty hard to make it through that writing. Methods, methods could be very different from depends on your project type. Some, let's say you are writing the literature review, you are just saying how you collected your references. Science, you want to know all that. Now, what keyword you use, how you search it, all that. That's for literature review. But for people with a real project, real site, specific goal, you are going to do some calculations. Then your method becomes long. You say that first you are going to write you want to know the soil type. When you want to describe, you just say that we use USGS survey types to find the location with this address or zip code. We found there are 3 different soil groups and we made the average or whatever, just write that instructions for the farm. If you're going to look for the rainfall data, then you also going to write that method. We use this website to find the rainfall at these locations, and we selected 100-year rainfall events for 95 or 85% rainfall intensity. So you write all that specific details. Again, cite the source. If you use certain things, always cite. Reference is not part of your page limit, so you should cite as many as you can. Not going to hurt you. You read lot more. Results or discussions or analysis together. Don't put them all together. Or we can have result section, then discussion separately. It's your choice. You should have figures. Now you can't just write your word and word and word. Because when you're going to present, you can't just explain the words. You have to have a diagram, you have to have a figure, or you have to have some kind of tables, comparison, contrast. So think of creative way how you can do that. And this is what is going to help you. All you need is 2 or 3 figures. That will give you enough content to present for 10 minutes. Introduction, all that. So those 2 or 3 figures or tables should be done very quickly so that you can write about it. And we can make your presentations from that. Not necessarily everything has relevant, just I wrote some of the things for you to check. Here's the slides. Conclusion is basically main take-home messages. You really don't need to write a lot. It's a couple of sentences, not a couple of sentences, 3 or 4 sentences. During this analysis, we found that green roof is really effective in doing something. But then in this particular site, when we did that, we found this because of this. Also basically give a summary. And you can take some of the sentence back to your abstract as a main reference. So what you write in the conclusion is just copy paste that there. Because you already wrote the abstract before when you sent me the, remember a long time ago, we gave you the scope of your projects, you already wrote that. So revise it, finish that. I gave you some instructions, how you can write the abstract, so use this to revise it. Not necessarily it is very specific, I just give you some kind of instruction. It doesn't have to be applied to everything, every project. Again, the most common mistake is the ICS statement is not cited. It takes only 1 minute for you to search and find a reference, because there are many references, thousands of references. Just have to read one reference, just the title and abstract, just to know whether it's relevant. Then cite it. And then don't cite website unless you have no research articles. So a lot of times you guys cite the website like EPA is fine, but let's say you cite some random news website saying that this news channel shows that stormwater is the main cause of pollutions. They're not authoritative voice. They cite somebody else. The reporter writing about somebody else work. So they're not the original reference. So you should always look for research articles or the journal articles, because they are the one who did original investigations. If you don't find it, you can cite some news article like National Geographic or Scientific American. So there are many websites which does actually serious research. But citing other places is not really unless you have no other choices, something like that. Think of this, when you write research article or report, research article will never cite any website. The reason is website can be changed. Website can be gone forever. That could be, if they don't pay, the website can be hosted and then website can be down. People may not find it many years from now. So those are not reliable. But book chapters, novel articles, they're there. There is a number associated with DOI, unique link, that will define it forever. So that's why, unless you find something nowhere else, don't cite website, because you will find information if you search in Google Scholar. And mistakes is a no topic sentence. So if you read the entire reports and just read the first two lines of each paragraph, you should know the entire stories of your report. Usually those 2 lines are the most important line. It says what the story is about. So when you send me, you can highlight the first or make the bold sentence for the topic sentence. That way you know that you tried. Okay. There are indications that you have made the report. Another mistakes people do is just write. Don't have any tables, don't have any figures, don't have any kind of illustrations. It could be, when you explain a green roof, show a picture of a green roof. That send message, you say that green roof is basically constructed by putting blah, 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 all that stuff. Show pictures, search Google, put the picture, give them citation so that you know the source if you're not making it. But add visuals so that it doesn't, every page should have some visuals. You can make an effort to make visuals. For instance, a lot of times you can write, let's say one of the project is using green roof to reduce the, increase the capture of water. How much water you can capture? So you can write that in one sentence, right? You can say, you can calculate this much rainfall, 1 inch rainfall. The green roof, the roof size is, let's say, 2,000 square feet. If you multiply that rainfall inch, you get the volume, right? So that's the maximum amount you can capture. So what percentage that is going to be actually able to capture, because some of them evaporate, some of the things, so you can make that estimate. Then you can write before green roof, capture is 0. After green roof, this much value. Multiply that by 10 years. You get a volume of water saving 0 gallon, here 10,000 gallon. Just one paragraph before and after. That visually it appealing to everybody, and you can present that in your presentations. So just by changing that one sentence in visual makes it more appealing when somebody is saying that. So you can read your visual sections and see how you can visualize what you wrote. It could be illustration, it could be figure, it could be a graph, or it could be a table. And it's very useful because you can use those visuals just to present your slides. You don't need anything else after that. Now that you wrote it, you have to revise it. And revision is a painful process. But patience, look at your own sentence and be critic of your own sentence. And there are ways you can do it. And this give you like 9 or 8 different ways. The very first one is use subject to the name of the characters. Your subject has to be very clear. If stormwater does this, but that has to be clear. If your subject is a sentence, that's not a right sentence. It makes it very difficult to understand. And make the most important character of the sentence as your subject. For instance, if you want to emphasize pollutants, you write these pollutants cause or impair the water. So if you want to say stormwater is the carrier of pollutants, stormwater carries pollutants that impair the water. Stormwater. Change the meaning in a subtle way, based on the parameters. Make sure you understand what's the subject. And it has to be very clear subject. Then it has to have action verb. What stormwater does? Stormwater pollutes water. So it's very clear what stormwater does. Don't write stormwater pollution. The pollution increase. Anytime there is a TION, what you do, you take a verb and take it down by adding TION. Pollute, pollution. Pollute is easy to understand. Pollution is a second number. Okay, so every time you see a sentence, make sure the verb is very clear. So that says about this book. Again, it's not a rule by far. It's just the instructions to improve your writing. There are places where you don't have to write the same way. All these things, I give you some examples. So those are written here. Okay. Examples, how it changes. Action verb, how you change it. So you can see that how it is applied. I copy from that book. So you can do that. So don't use too many TION, pollutions, verifications. Don't verify. I verified the documents. Don't say I made the verifications. That sounds not clear. I made the verification. What you did? I verified. That's very simple, right? So anytime there are TION, you have a chance to actually make it clear. Not always it should be done, but just know that there's a symptom. Nominalization, the same thing. Evaluations. Say evaluate. Don't need to write evaluations. Need for assistance. Just assist. Verb, right? Now, what's the? Just look for any time there is those things. Look at the verb in that hidden in that word. A lot of times it's needed to written, but there are other places you can change. So these are all examples given. I copy that from the book so that you can see as example. If you don't want to download the book or read it, which you should do at some point in your career. So now I just have to know what's the main example. So I put all these things as examples so that you see how it is useful for you to apply on your own writing. So your goal should be by Friday, you should write it and then revise a couple of times so that by Monday it's ready. And then read all the things, send it to me. That way Tuesday, you can start working on. The reason I said Monday is because by Tuesday, you can work on Tuesday and complete your presentations. So that you are done with that. But if you're done ahead of time, you can send your presentation on Tuesday. All right, so this is all the summary of what you could do for it there. So check the slides when you revise it, because a lot of times if I say something, it doesn't make sense, but when you see your own writing and apply that, you get it. So that's all for the writing aspect of it. And as I said, next class, I'll be here. We are not going to do anything, the class presentations. What I'll do is if you have any slides, we'll work together. And if you want me to use your slides to explain things I can share with the class, then let me know. Otherwise, we'll just private within your group will work. Okay. If nobody said anything, I'll bring a present draft from the last year and show you how it is done or how I revise it. So either way, next class you should work on your project. You should work from now on, so that next class when you sit here, you have something to ask. Then I can give you very specific feedback. You could be done next week, end of this week. Any question? All right, so I'm going to stop sharing now. And